Hello, friends. I'm Matthew Johnson, and today we're going to be reacting to The Sound of Silence, sung by Disturbed. This is an iconic performance, and interestingly enough, apparently David Draiman, who's the lead singer for Disturbed, was facing a fever that day, so he was not feeling too well, and he still makes some incredible sounds, which you'll hear in just a moment. So let's dive in and see what we got.
Darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping.
So at this point, the melody is not too demanding. It's in a very, very comfortable range for him. Now, he's using a decent amount of nasal resonance. We hear this type of hummy quality, softly sleeping. There's a little bit of that humminess as he's going through that sound. And it's going to help him to loosen up to the high notes later on in the song. At this point, this is a piece of cake for him. So we'll see how it gets more and more difficult as it goes higher up.
And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence.
I love how he hangs on to that N right down at the bottom of his range. It is so haunting. Now, he is known to be a very big metal singer. He does a lot of distortion. He does a lot of crazy effects with his voice. And this type of singing, believe it or not, is not that far away from what he does with metal. It's very contained. It's very controlled. When you sing metal music, you always want to look like you're in control. If you show that you're working too hard, it kind of takes away the oomph, the power of that type of style. So he's bringing in that character, that control, that desire to show that he knows exactly what's going to happen, that he is running the show the entire way through. And it's really cool to see in this context.
In restless dreams I walked alone.
Really clear low notes, just gorgeous.
Narrow streets of cobblestone.
Loving the vibrato too.
Beneath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stared by the flash of a neon light that split the night.
Just gorgeous.
And touched the sound of silence.
I wish I had those low notes. I am as tenor can get, so those lower notes elude me. At this point, we're hearing very similar tactics all the way through. He uses subtlety to such a great degree. All of his pronunciation is so small and calculated. His movements are just so to make a very large impact. And it goes to show when you're performing too, you don't always need to be running around the stage and doing all these big actions. Very small movements can have a ton of meaning.
And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs and voices never shared. And no one dared disturb the sound of silence.
This is such a great example of the mixed voice. So when he was singing in the lower range, he was in a full chest voice, a very strong type of sound. As he was going to the higher notes, we can hear how it thins out a little bit. His voice gets a little bit lighter because he can't carry all of that weight up top. And in this song, he's singing well over 2 octaves. I think it's about 2 octaves and a third. So the range is immense. So we get to see an excellent character study as to how that voice has to transition as he goes through that range. Now, he did have a little bit of false fold distortion on the higher notes. This type of, yeah, type of feel, the grit that he adds in. I'm sure we're going to hear more of that, just knowing how Draiman sings. But this is done in a very healthy way. So you have your true vocal folds right at the larynx. Just above them, you have your false vocal folds. So they're there to make sure that you don't cough on food or anything like that. But they look like vocal folds. They're just thicker, and they don't really make a pretty sound. And he's bringing those together, not even causing any stress to the true folds at all. He's using those false folds to make this really nice effect for a song like this.
Fool said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words and I might teach you. Take my arms and I might reach you.
Here's that distortion.
But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence.
Oh, I love this. Just a bit about me. This is one of the performances that made me want to learn distortion to begin with. I think this is done in such a gorgeous and controlled way. Whoa, it is so impressive. He does a couple of weird tongue things and echoes in the where. He kind of pulls his tongue back. That's another metal technique just to make the sound a little bit darker and I guess huskier, you could say, especially when you're doing a lot of the metal grit and distortion. Sometimes you need to manipulate the tongue a little bit to make a really almost demonic type of sound, which he relies on with a lot of other music that he sings.
And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign lashed out its warning. And the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, whispered in the sound of silence.
Just excellent. Just excellent. I love it. A couple things that I want to talk about. I did hear a little bit of auto-tune. Now, this goes back to Draiman not feeling well for the performance. Apparently, he did not want to add auto-tune, but a couple of the engineers added it anyway just as a backup. But you could tell that he sounds amazing anyway, so why need it? But I did hear some of that auto-tuning trying to go on there. He's using all of this distortion, all of this really nice chest mix on these upper notes. And if you looked at him, you wouldn't be able to see what notes he was singing. And that's the goal as singers. If you're singing high, we shouldn't be able to tell just by what you're looking like. His head is always neutral. His mouth never opens up. His body is calm and cool all the way through. He shows no added effort or physical exertion to get the higher notes. And that's a sign of a masterful singer. He's got it. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's trained it so much. And these are the results. He can sing metal. He can do a pop song like this in such a gorgeous way. And yes, there were metal elements, but it was just gorgeous, what the types of sounds that he was making all the way through. So I could not be more impressed with this. Draiman is such a fantastic singer, and I encourage you to listen to his metal music, even if you're not a metal fan, to see how his voice adjusts between the two styles. But this is a classic performance, the epitome of an excellent singer, and it was just such a joy to react to. There was so much good stuff going on here. So, comment with whatever your thoughts are or questions are of this reaction of what you've heard David Draymond do. Any type of distortion stuff, I'd be happy to give you some answers as to what's going on there. Eventually, we'll dig into that more in depth, and I look forward to continuing the discussion with you. All right, friends, if you enjoyed, please subscribe, and I will see you very soon for another video.